So what, just on that same token, the financing side of it. So we've talked a lot about Fannie and Freddie and conventional. When you get into 900,000, you're obviously looking at jumbo loans. What are some of the things somebody let's say there's someone out there looking at this property online right now, loves it, and they want to know kind of, hey, what's my payment going to look like? What's this going to look like? Or what am I going to have down? What are some, in the jumbo space, what's it look like right now?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, obviously you guys can call 844-DIAZ-DUO, 844-DIAZ-DUO with any questions. But basically, the jumbo market is, I mean, it's actually rate-wise right now, it's very, very comparable, if not exactly the same as a normal conventional
which is uncommon.
It's uncommon, yeah. A lot in previous years that there's been maybe a 3/4 point spread, but right now
higher, three-quarter point
higher, right. Right now, jumbo markets are showing favorable interest rates, and so I mean, basically, it's the same process. You're going to have to document everything just like you would on a normal mortgage. I mean, everything is very comparable. There's some different avenues, but again, it's important to know that you don't have to have 20% down. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of people that do put 20% down in that
but you don't have to.
But you don't have to, so it's not something. It's not a limiting aspect.
And we talked, in the last segment about rates. What do rates look like? Not just, I mean, in normal right now. What did we see over rates over the last week?
I mean, rates over the last week. I mean, if you're looking at the markets, basically one of the things that we do that, I mean, we're in the markets, watching the markets every day. It's kind of like watching the stock. You're watching the mortgage-backed security market and kind of trying to lock in the clients at the most advantageous time. What was really interesting this week was that the Fed had their meeting. So Fed Chairman Janet Yellen, she came out and what she said was pretty interesting because at their previous meetings, what they've always been saying is that rates are going to remain low for the foreseeable future. Foreseeable future. They always use that term, and that kind of calmed the markets and whatnot. But this time they actually said that they do see that they're going to consider raising rates on a meeting by meeting basis. So she's basically implying that sometime this year, sometime soon, they are going to probably hike the federal funds rate and the interest rates, and that has a direct correlation to our interest rates. It's not. It's not a side-by-side comparison, but it definitely has an effect. And with all the stuff that's going on in Europe and everything, with the euro being so low compared to the dollar right now, I mean, it's a crazy.
There's going to be a lot of stuff happening internationally that impacts our real estate market or financial markets. David Graham was actually talking about the last few weeks why his show hasn't been live. He leaves the country to go to Swiss bankers. He meets with some of these international money players to kind of learn what's happening in their market and how it'll apply here. And I think that's sometimes what we forget about is what happens in the rest of the world does impact us here.
Absolutely, and just watching everything, I think one of the things to ask yourself, what do you think prices will be in 1 year? What do you think interest rates will be in 1 year? Do you think they'll be higher or lower?
Me personally, I think both. I mean, I think both are going up. I mean, there's just interest rates is just the economic pressures to keep them low, and then what we're seeing in the supply and demand space. And again, that's not every neighborhood. It's not every price point, but I think if we're talking about the averages of the median, I think they're going to be up, and I think that provides for, there's a lot of people out there that were thinking about selling a property in the last couple of years and waited or didn't because they didn't have enough value, and if you are one of those people, check out TampaBayValue.com. Again, that's TampaBayValue.com. You get a free home value estimate and a market snapshot of what's going on in your neighborhood. Again, that's TampaBayValue.com. Because there's a lot of people out there that they still have their head stuck in the sand, thinking they can't, they can't get enough for their home when the values have already risen enough to maybe get them out and allow them to upgrade.
I mean, obviously the government they lowered the federal funds rate because the economy was struggling. Now all the metrics show that the economy has improved or isn't still improving.
So what's going to happen?
So what's going to happen? I mean, at some point they have to do what's fiscally